Welcome to the first show of Compassion Masters TV, where we're sharing our lives because you matter. We're your hosts. I'm Miss Toye, here with my son, Lheighton.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How's it going?
You guys will hear our story later, but we're going to break it down today so you know who we are and why we started Compassion Masters. If you only knew, this is a true blessing that I'm able to do this show with my son. He was only 10 months old at the time his father was sentenced to 30 years in prison. And it's a blessing because I'm grateful that we're here together. We survived, been through a lot, but we're going to help you through what we've been through. So I'm going to begin so that you know who we are. I'm going to take about 5 minutes. Where's my timer? I'm going to turn it over because I don't want to hold you up too long. I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm going to break myself down according to spirituality, who I am as a woman, who I am as a nurse, and who I am as an author. Just a minute. Let's go. All right, so who I am as a Christian, first of all, spirituality. God is the first and foremost in my life. I have so many stories to share with you guys, but you'll hear about those later. It's a blessing that I'm even here because I had told my son, I'm not going to do this anymore, son. I just don't think that I'm going to continue my motivational journey. And God had another plan. So here we are, but you'll hear about that later. Who I am as a woman, well, I'm a complicated person in some ways because I am, some people have debated bougie. I say there's levels to bougie because it's not a negative bougie. I'm a level 1 bougie. Yeah, I'm a level 1. I'm giving.
All right, I'm going to interject for that one, but all right, I'll let you tell your fairy tale.
I'm going to give bougie 5 levels because I'm not stuck up. Like, I'm cool with everybody. We can roll. I don't have a problem with anybody. I don't feel like I'm better than anybody. And I think that that's the definition of stuck up. So the reason why I say I'm bougie is because I like nice things. I like nice clothes. I like makeup. I like to wear my hair. And I have worn it in different styles, so my hair is not a statement. It's just a preference. I've worn it an inch long. I've worn it wavy. I've worn it straight. I've worn it shoulder length. And I'm emphasizing that because I want to make sure that you may look at me and form an opinion, but I'm not that. I took my weave out for a while. I'm wearing one right now, but I took it out so that the nurses at the hospital would connect better to me, and it worked. So then when I put it back in, they knew me as a person, so it really wasn't a thing. So the same will hold true for you. Well, I forgot to tell you why we started Compassion Masters. Well, I'll explain the title later, but we really want to do our part to increase love in the world. So much problems going on. We just want to increase the love and compassion in the world, and we want to add fun and entertainment. We want to motivate others to greatness. So let me get back to who I was. As a nurse, I'll start. I became a nurse at age 21. My mother put me as a volunteer. How much time do I have? My mom made me a volunteer at age 14. And I loved it, just passing out water and talking to the people. So I knew I was in the right field because I was happy. They say if you're happy without getting a paycheck, then you're in the right place. I was happy without getting a paycheck. So now it's been 35 years. Because nursing is a compassionate field, I really feel you shouldn't be in it if you don't like people and you can't be compassionate. So there's the compassion part of our name, and then the master part. I mean, 35 years, I know what I'm doing. The other supervisors call me to help with their problems. The nurses call me. They know that I have a level head. I have good common sense. I'm just a natural born leader. I'm grateful for that because it has served me well. And like I said, it means something when you care about people, and that's the reason why we're doing this for everybody, through our story to help. And lastly, as an author, this is not my first book. I wrote a book years ago, over 15 years ago. This book was even written 15 years ago, and I just edited and did some tailoring it down to fit where I am in my life right now. But the first book didn't do well. I want to encourage you, if you've done something in the past or you're kind of stuck, like I made a mistake and and I don't feel like I want to get back out there, get back out there. It took me a while, but I still am embracing what I did before, because if you look me up, at some point that other book will surface, and I don't have no secrets. I didn't do a good job on that first book, but the second book, you're going to like it. So the comments I'm getting are, ooh, that book is lit, and I've never read a book from cover to cover, and I'm really enjoying it. So many favorable comments. That's all I'm getting. But that one was written by a ghostwriter. Any aspiring writers, I can help you with what I did wrong, what I wouldn't do again. If you want my help, log in to CompassionMastersTV.com. We got plenty of things for you to look at on that site. I'll help you if you're a new author wanting to progress with that. I think I've exhausted my 5 minutes. It's your turn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, my introduction ties directly into yours because, it's only been you and I in the house. And so a lot of the things that you're about, I'm about just from, growing up with you and your teachings. And so I'm the same way as far as being compassionate and helping other people out. And so we're both on the same page when it comes to why we wanted to start this up and create it and hopefully help some people out just with sharing our stories. But I mean, just I guess really quickly about me, I do a bunch of different things just like everybody else. But I am a skateboarder. Been doing that for 13 years. And I love entrepreneurship. I never was too big on, going to college. I would if I knew what I would want to go for, but I never found anything that, kind of required me to go. And so I'm not anti-college either. I'm not one of those, but entrepreneurship is just something that always attracted me, and I liked being in control. So along with being a skateboarder, now I'm a skateboard instructor. I teach kids how to skate and anywhere from beginner to more advanced. And so that ties into just wanting to help people out and learn something new, have fun, be outdoors, get them away from the tablets and the TV and everything. And I guess be that person that, I was looking for when I was younger. We're going to talk more later about Dad not being here, but that is something that has kind of left a lasting imprint on my life. And I realized that it always kind of goes back to trying to help the younger people out, but I think it's just because of my story. But anyways, so I love doing that. Skateboarding is something that's been a huge part of my life. I like boxing, been doing that for a couple of years. That's something that I think has molded me into being a certain way too. And yeah, I mean, it really just comes down to just wanting to help, really. A lot of people say that, I just want to help, but it really is just about wanting to help. Yeah. And that's any way possible. So whether it's, through your job or just through, or just having fun, skating or helping someone out that way. These kinds of videos, our YouTube channel, my personal YouTube channel, Say LA. It's all just about helping people out and giving them some valuable content to watch instead of just, instead of not. So
through true life experiences.
Yeah, exactly. So it's exciting. It's really exciting. And I wish more people would do that themselves too and share their stories, because we all have special stories. We're all unique. So yeah, exactly. So it's nice. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, my introduction ties into yours because the same. Well, we're not exactly the same, but a lot of what you believe in, I believe in. Our spirituality has always been really, really tight, and our relationship with God and making sure that we stay grounded as far as that goes is the same. And yeah,
why we're here right now. Yeah, I'm gonna use the last little time of yours because I forgot to say.
You're not about to cut my time off. No, what the heck? You're not about. No, you're gonna flip your sand over later on after the. No. I'm just kidding. I don't really have anything else to say, really, but whatever. But it's just the fact that you try to just cut in. You're not about to. No.
All right. What I did want to say is I didn't mention as a woman that I am happily divorced. Like, I embrace being single. So if anybody out there is struggling with that, I embrace it. I really enjoy it. So I like the fact that there's a guy at my job. He compliments me, but at the same time he'll say, sis. And that's what he does to keep it respectful. Shout out to you, Roland. Thank you so much for doing that, because I'm not interested in dating anybody. Maybe another 10, 15 years I might get married again, but I don't want that. So I did want
Take
to
that
say
out. You
that.
can't be curving him on TV, on air.
I grew up in Inglewood, and part of that is I got a little hood in me. Now, I told y'all I'm bougie level 1, but I'm also hood in a way that if you
Oh my
disrespect
gosh.
if you disrespect me, then I'm not quiet about it. But on the flip side, if you respect me, we can disagree. We can agree to disagree. I'm cool with that. It's just the disrespect I have a problem with. I'm working on it. I'm trying to become more Christ-like in that area.
Yeah, she's not lying about that. Seriously,
No,
you
I'm really
definitely
not.
don't. You
You don't want to
definitely.
meet
There's two
her.
different. Well, we all have two different sides, but she has two extremes, hot and
Shout out to
cold. And
Michael
so,
for saying that.
no,
You don't
yeah,
want to meet
it's
her.
not just Michael. We all have gotten a taste of it some time in our life for sure. You don't want that side to come out.
I'm
But
cool people
anyways,
in general.
but since you, but since I didn't think about it too, since you brought up the a little bit about your relationship status, I forgot to bring that up too, and I don't know why, but I'm married and I have my daughter. She's 6 months old, and so I'm a new father. Today being Father's Day is my
And I'm
first
a
Father's Day, so
grandmother.
yeah. So I don't know why I forgot to say that, but yes, that is
It is
a
part of
huge
who
part of
you
me. Yeah,
are.
exactly.
Yeah. And I told you guys that I was 21 when I became a nurse, and I'm 56 now. So there's where the 35 years comes in. We done. I used your time.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so we're going to listen to the book that I wrote, Power Trip, My Wacky Wonderful Experience with Womanhood Thus Far. And we will talk about the chapters. We want you to join in with us. You'll be able to listen to the book for free. If you want to purchase it, you can go to powertripthebook.com and purchase it and read along with us. But in the meantime, if you don't want to, you can just listen to it. And then Lheyton and I will talk about it afterwards. We're hoping through my book, it shaves out a period of time in my life when I was kind of struggling. It's called Power Trip because I was on one. I was just leaning to my own understanding, doing what I wanted to do, left God out of the picture, even though my foundation is with God. So it's just little shave of my life that wasn't cool.
You're
So
still on a power trip. What are you talking about?
no,
Anyways,
no, I'm not. So we're gonna listen to the book, and then Lheyton and I will be back to talk to you afterwards.
For as long as I can remember, it seems I've been struggling to figure out who's going to run my life, God or me. Was I unknowingly participating in a power trip? Many, many years ago, I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I am a Christian, and because we are given free will, I chose to make my own rules and to participate in ungodly behaviors. I was wishy-washy. Take yesterday evening, for example. A couple of my friends had gotten together to play Scrabble, and we were in the midst of discussing the alleged escapades of a mutual friend who was not there with us at the time. Mandy, not her real name, starts a polluted rant. You know, where every other word is some profanity, and she has a master's degree in business, so you know her vocabulary is usually above average. Now, Mandy is one of my church sisters, so I love and respect her. But calling out another friend's booty calls in judgment, saying that it's not Christian during her profanity rant, well, let's just say I had to chuckle to myself. Don't get me wrong, many of us forget we can't cast the first stone. But loving and following Jesus Christ's teachings is about more than just a sinner getting saved. Believe me, I've had many an experience to prove it. Counting on Jesus has gotten me out of more jams than I can number. As you follow the script of my journey, you will see that the extremes of incarceration and the loss of everything near and dear to me could not have been avoided had it not been for His grace. See, I'm a grown-ass woman, which by me claiming to be that has led me to destructive behaviors, which you will read about shortly. My name is Marie Williams. His name is Alexander, 15 years my junior. Strong, intelligent, beautiful, sexy as all get out, and a born-again Christian, and we've been living under the same roof without sexual intimacy. None. Nada. Nit. And I must say that has been wonderful. So you may ask, what's wrong with this picture? Seems in line with God's righteous requirements. Well, there's more, of course, and her name is Megan. She's also beautiful, funny, intelligent, and sexy. And yeah, She says she digs me. She asked me in quite a direct manner if I could ever date and know a woman. Frankly, the question got me wondering, and I'll leave you to wonder and imagine how all of this ends. It's quite interesting if I do say so myself, and I've lived it. So now, like I was saying, I will go to that well once again and ask God for some guidance. But to be honest, I've asked Him for so much, so often, I wouldn't be surprised if He were just plain tired of me by now. Picture me approaching Him, coming before Him figuratively, because I ain't dead yet, at those pearly gates, looking sharp in designer clothes, mindful of my lessons learned and saying, "Hey God, it's me, Marie." I imagine that He would take one look at me, rub the back of His neck wearily and say, "Yes, Marie, of course it's you, one of my regulars." I'd say, "God, I hate to bother you, but see, I'm screwing up again, and I'm wondering if you'd help me out, if you'd forgive me, again." And God would say, "Damn it, Marie, can't you get your life straight for once? Do you know that there are more than 6 billion people on this earth that I look after, and every time I turn around, you're here telling me you're sorry and asking me for forgiveness?" But of course, my heart knows He just wouldn't say that. You see, even though I have attended church all of my life, reading the Bible from cover to cover was never my thing. But every now and then, when His Spirit is with me, a particular Bible verse resonates with my conscious being, my psyche, my soul. That verse is 1 John 1, verses 8 to 10. It's about how God forgives, and if you believe you're above sin, that's an even bigger sin, because you're calling God a liar. So instead of covering up your sins, confess, and God will forgive you, even over and over again. When I look at where I am today, I often wonder why my life presented itself the way it did. Why did I suffer the trials, heartaches, trauma, and drama that now have me pouring out my story to a bunch of strangers? Was it just life, or was there a lesson for me to learn or figure out? Is there some purpose? How did I end up here? Still seeking guidance, still seeking forgiveness, questioning God, challenging God, being a grown-ass woman, but not really. I do know, however, that God's Spirit continues to abide with and guide me when I allow Him to. That sounds terrible, but that's the way I was living. So I invite you all to spend some time with me in what has been my life. Because, after all, it has been about me, right? Yep. I was pretty self-centered, which I do not take pleasure in saying, but it is what it is. Not too long ago, I was inducted into the Me2 movement, which led me to the idea to write this book. After the incident happened, it made me wonder if my past behavior had been instrumental to this happening. A few months ago, I went to dinner with a man who had been my boyfriend 20 years prior to our dinner night. Over the years, we had remained friends. Once dinner was over, he moved to my side of the booth and planted a big kiss on me. Looking back, at the time of the kiss, I should have said something about it. But I rationalized that he was someone special in my life, so I allowed it. Once dinner was over, he asked me if I would join him in his truck for more conversation, and again, I agreed, because he was someone I trusted and I'm a night owl because of the shift at work. Some would ask, why did you get in his truck at all? And my answer would be, I relied on the fact that we had been friends for so long and the thought never crossed my mind that he was going to do anything more than talk. I'm not usually a naive person, but that night, I was. Once we were in his truck, he started the engine and drove to the opposite side of the parking lot. I'm assuming that he did that to create more privacy. That was my first inkling that he wanted more than just a conversation. As it happened, we didn't do much talking before he laid back in his seat, unzipped his pants, and pulled out his penis. Now, mind you, I had not done anything or said anything remotely sexual to lead him to think that this was what I wanted, and if it wasn't bad enough, he had the nerve to say the 2 words that were a turnoff when we dated 20 years prior to this night. Grab this. To translate, he was asking me to grab his penis and give him an erection, and I'm sure that after the erection, he would have enjoyed me putting my mouth down there. My response to his sexual advance was to hop out of his truck, slam the door, and leave him with his pants down and limp penis hanging out. I got in my car and drove home. However, while I was driving, I felt an odd feeling of responsibility, which made me ask myself, Did I mislead him? Or were his advances in some way my fault? Had I done something to encourage his behavior? When I drove off, I wondered why, even for a second, it crossed my mind to ask myself if I had done anything wrong. Intellectually, I knew that I hadn't, but my wacky thoughts, or maybe my wacky hormones, made me feel, well, like maybe I did. Because I've known this man for so long, I can say that in my eyes, he's a good guy, and that his actions were not supposed to be an insult to me. And, moreover, he was simply clueless. About 6 months after going to the restaurant, at the encouragement of a friend, I asked him the reason that he had done that, and also asked if I had done something to warrant his behavior. He asked, was I supposed to ask if we've done it so many times in the past? He said he wanted to have sex with me, and that coupled with the fact that we had done it before were the reasons he felt gave him the permission to pull down his pants and to expect me to give him an erection. After that, I asked him if he thought that was at all selfish for him to expect, and he agreed that it was. Everyone has their own unique experiences, and in my case, I chose to educate, but some people might need to involve the legal system. Every situation is different, and I'm an advocate for anyone, woman or man, to handle their situation in the manner necessary. I won't say that I was equally responsible for him being misled, but I do feel that I did share some responsibility. Not right then, but because of my past behavior. I think that it was incredibly stupid of him, but based on his response, I've decided he was really ignorant to how he had violated me. I truly do believe that he did not think he had harmed me in any way. So I really began to reflect on my past. Again, intellectually, I knew that no matter what I had ever done, even if I stood naked in front of him, it was not okay for him to disregard my feelings in pursuit of his own desires. I chose to end this experience by educating him and reminding him that it didn't matter whether or not the two of us had a relationship in the past, he should be respectful towards me currently and my choice currently, and to not assume that I wanted him just because he wanted me. I reminded him that he had sons and would not want to leave them uneducated on this topic. I'm really glad that my friend encouraged me to ask him about that night, because up until that point, I was filling my head with all kinds of reasons as to why he had done what he had done. Had my choice to have sex with him in the past led to this?
So we just heard the introduction to my new book, Power Trip, My Wacky Wonderful Experience with Womanhood Thus Far. So Lheyton and I will talk about something. I jotted a couple of notes because the intro is just what it is. An incident happened that with an ex that brought me right into the middle of the Me2 movement. And if you guys know what that is, it just means the guy usually has taken advantage of a situation to where the woman didn't have any influence on it. And that's what happened at the beginning of the book. So the notes that I wrote was just, why did I have an odd feeling of responsibility when that happened? And I think it just boiled down to the fact that my past behavior warranted it. I was bad or did things that I shouldn't have been doing, and then hence that he took advantage of that when it was not something that was on my mind. So that's where the Me Too. Yeah. Well, but guys do that sometimes. So we'll just we'll talk about that later. Maybe see what we can do about that. We got to stop it. Anyway, I did use the situation to educate him and remind him that, you always have to have permission from the lady before you just go ahead and make a decision on your own. There's two people involved in that decision, so don't do that. I just wanted to ask if anybody has ever had the situation where you've just made so many mistakes over and over and over again, and then you think God's not going to forgive you. Or, one thing, how I would describe myself is definitely forgiven. I've moved past it. It was who I was at that time, but I'm not that person anymore, and I feel great that I have been forgiven. So if you're going through anything in your life that you feel like you've done so much that you can't be forgiven, read the book and see what I went through.
Well, anyways, yeah, that's good that we're moving forward, but we don't really have a chance to digest everything that happened. So obviously they heard it, but now they can listen to the person actually talk about it, and maybe how that made you feel, or like you said, you said you felt responsible for some reason, for some odd reason, where you didn't do anything, but you were thinking like, did I do something, or that kind of thing. And I think that happens a lot. I just had this conversation. Or I'm curious because it happened to you, my mother, and then and I know people who have done that to other girls, other women before, and then now on top of that, I have my daughter, which is like I said, she's only 6 months, so this isn't, I'm not worried about that right now.
Right.
But she's gonna grow up, so I don't want to skip over that too quickly. Or maybe there's other women watching this and they're like, yeah, well, elaborate or whatever it is, or guys who are listening to this too, and like, I did that before, and I didn't know that was.
And other guys have said that. They
for sure.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where men, we have to do a lot better to correct the problem, because it's not the women who need to correct it. I mean, the women do that too sometimes. I'm not saying it's only men doing it. I'm just saying the majority of the time it's men acting in a certain way because they feel okay or entitled to do so, and that's why they don't even know when it's wrong when they get called out. Like, I didn't even know that was a bad thing, because we're just taught,
where's that
we can do
from?
whatever,
Yeah, so I'm glad it's coming up in my book. But I did take responsibility, because I did have some responsibility, not at that moment, but prior to that, I did have some responsibility to make him think that was just okay to disrespect me like that. So I think it is important that we talk about it, because if I'm turning the spotlight on myself, I'm just taking responsibility. That's what Power Trip is about. It's about me telling on myself, doing things, and people have said, wow, you're courageous. Well, I am courageous, because God put me here for a reason, and he created me like this. So it is what it is, but I do want to get better. I'm not perfect, and I've always said that, but I want to get better.
Cool. Well, but as far as the actual situation itself, you didn't feel. Oh, and now actually we're past that, because we got into that a little bit more. But what about the conversation afterwards? You spoke to him, and
I was happy.
You hit him up.
And I wasn't gonna do that. I hit him up. I wasn't gonna do it, but after my friend read the book, it was in the initial stages of the book, and she said, "Why didn't you ask him? Why did he do that?" And at her suggestion is why I did that, because otherwise I was just going to form my own opinions and be insulted. And I'm glad she said to go back and ask him, because he answered in a way they thought, well, we had done it before, so I thought it was okay. And I think a lot of guys do that, and that's what I was saying, that's not okay. Just because you've done it in the past don't mean it's okay to do it again. And that's how people get accused of rape and serious things, because they say, well, she gave me permission, but maybe she didn't give you permission that time. Maybe prior to she did. And then this time she said no, and you still did it. So that's something we need to talk about, because that's how your whole life can go into a whole other direction, or something that shouldn't have happened. So that's one part of that. And were you embarrassed?
I wasn't really. Well, I mean, I guess kind of like just, yeah, I guess, but not really. Not that it happened to me. I was just saying more so like I just don't like hearing the details. Like, yeah, he leaned back and then he did it. I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to listen or read or no. I don't want to hear that. But yeah, no. But still, with that, I understand that it's something that has to be shared, and you have to, you, like you said, you have responsibility not to get answers, but to share with other people, because that will allow other people to be more comfortable in sharing their truths and their story and things that happen to them. So I get it. I understand. But yeah, I was more so mad just because I remember that night. Yeah. And yeah, he came in the house, didn't say anything to me, whatever. I had my own issues, whatever, with that. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess that night was just weird overall. But yeah, I guess it was more so that just.
Yeah, I agree. Now I understand why God says don't do those things, because It's a whole bunch of responsibility that goes with it. Unless you have something else you have to say, we're going to end it here. And
Yep, we're going to skip over this story because I'm not even trying to.
Each week, y'all, we'll be listening to 1, 2, 3, however many chapters I can get in the time frame, and then we will discuss it. It's something that the lessons that I learned are things that I know other people need to learn as well. In the meantime, we'll have fun. We'll be entertained. We'll have guests that will join us as well. And anybody, if you're doing something that's positive in the world and you want a spotlight shined on your business, go to our website and check us out. Send us an email because we'd love to spotlight you. Also, for next week, we're going to listen to a few chapters in the book. My name is Marie. That's my middle name. And she's innocent until she meets Hank.
Don't even try and do that. You got some stuff that you already had brought out to the light. You didn't just get transformed.
I want to say thank you to the people that has helped us behind the scenes. Thank you to Toye. Thank you, Anthony Smith. We appreciate you. We love you. I want to say thank you to my son. Thank you for always having my back.
Of course.
And I appreciate you doing the show with me. And to our audience, together we're going to make this world a better place. So hang in there with us. Bye for now. Have a blessed day.